people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. It would appear that one of my favorite fighters is set to return to action in the month of March on the undercard of a King's Promotion show. The same one that Nayeli Rodriguez is going to be making her King's Promotion debut. Brie Howling!
Brie Howling?
Of Canada is set to return to action opposite the ring Crystal Hoy on the heels of what was her first professional loss in June of last year. It's been that long, and that was the only fight that she had that year. The year before that, she fought 3 times in 2024, but only once in 2025 opposite the ring Naomi Cardenas on what was an MVP show. What looked to me like a rehearsal for Brie Howling, that if she would have won that fight, the people at MVP may have offered her a contract.
But she lost.
In what was a competitive, albeit difficult fight for young Brie Howling, 28 years old, who sports a professional record of 8 wins with 1 loss and no draws, 2 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 9 professional bouts opposite the ring. A very aggressive and strong, durable pressure fighter in Naomi Cardenas, who was coming at her so fast, throwing punches so often, more than Brie Howling was used to. Believe it or not, Brie had the right style for the job, but not the right level of experience. She had never been in there with somebody like that. So in the moment, it was more than she could handle, but I believe that she will be able to handle Crystal Hoy. Veteran journeywoman Crystal Hoy, who sports a professional record of 7 wins with 13 losses, 4 draws, 3 knockouts, having been knocked out once. Just once. In 24 professional bouts, currently 1-5 in her last 6. Meaning out of her last 6 fights, she only won 1, and that was against a girl who never won a fight in Dawn Mazarikis. 0-2.
Yeesh.
All the way back there in June of 2024. After that, she fought unbeaten Brandy Robinson and dropped a decision.
Over a year ago.
45 years old, 17 years older than young Brie Howling.
Needless to say, this is a layup.
They wanted to put Brie Howling in a winnable fight to get her back in the winner's bracket and back on track. There's nothing wrong with that. And it has been a while since Brie fought. Scheduled for 6 rounds in the women's bantamweight division, bantamweight. That is where Shernika Johnson currently holds all 4 alphabet titles. That is where Dina Thorsland currently reigns as Ring Magazine and Lineal Champion. And that is where this contest is taking place. A testament to the depth of the women's bantamweight division. A lot of good fighters fight here at bantamweight. Brie Howling is one among them. I have not lost faith. I still believe under the right conditions, Brie Howling has what it takes to become a world champion. Maybe even a unified champion. But first things first, she's got to get back on track. And I think that she's going to in March.
Well, the Ides of March.
Where is that from?
Well, that's the warning they gave Julius Caesar before he was assassinated on March 15th.
What does that have to do with this?
Well, this fight is taking place on the 14th, the day before the 15th, in March.
Okay. In any event, Brie Howling will be returning to action opposite the ring Crystal Hoy in the month of March as part of a King's Promotion show, and I expect that she will win and get back in the winner's bracket and proceed to bigger and better things. Men's heavyweight news. Champion Oleksandr Usyk explained why he chose Deontay Wilder over Flavio Wardley. Usyk dismissed the idea that the decision was personal, saying the fight was about sporting legacy and history. He explained that he wanted to box in America and that Wilder has been one of the dominant heavyweights of the last decade. Having beaten Joshua and Fury 2 times each, Usyk said Wilder remains the final unbeaten opponent of the big three. Usyk spoke exclusively to Ready to Fight.
My question is Deontay Wilder really part of the big three of the previous era that is now coming to an end, when you could argue that Daniel Dubois' victory over Anthony Joshua in a fight that he was favored to lose is bigger than anything on Wilder's resume? So shouldn't Daniel be part of the big three?
Well, even if he were, Usyk beat him 2 times too, so you can tick that box off. He wants Wilder.
Because that's the one that he didn't fight. That's the guy that
He didn't get to. And that is more or less what I thought his rationale was. That of the last, Wilder was considered one of the somebodies, one of the more dominant champions, not by me, but by some others.
So Usyk wants to tick off that box too. The problem is that now Wilder's name has become attached to a potential Derek Chisora fight that I think jeopardizes whether or not Wilder makes it to Usyk.
So what if Wilder has that fight with Derek and he loses that fight with Derek? What becomes of the Usyk fight? What does Usyk do then? To his credit, if Oleksandr Usyk ain't nothing else, he's a man with a plan. They have a backup. Strong business. Oleksandr Usyk's team's director reveals alternative opponent to Deontay Wilder. Sergey Lapine insists a fight with Agit Kabayel is a possible option for his client's next outing. The German powerhouse is the in-form contender in the heavyweight division right now and currently holds the WBC interim belt, putting him in line to become mandatory for the unified WBA, WBC, and IBF champion. In action not that long ago in Germany, in front of a sellout crowd in a show that was promoted by Queensberry, and it would seem that Usyk and his team were paying attention. Kabayel once again called for a shot at Usyk following his third-round stoppage win over Poland's Damian Nieba earlier this month, and it now appears that Usyk's ears have pricked up after witnessing the 33-year-old sell out the 13,000-capacity Rudolf Weber Arena in less than a week. In today's heavyweight top division, there is no safe opponent. Every top-level guy is a threat, Lapine told Talk Sport.
Especially at Usyk's age. He's not getting any younger.
We see how Germany reacts to these fights, these stadiums they can fill, and how strong the market is. Stylistically, he can be tricky too. Pressure, pace, physicality. It would be a big European fight with strong business potential. For now, Deontay Wilder remains on the top of Usyk's hit list, but recent reports have emerged linking the Bronze Bomber to a fight with Derek Chisora. Providing an update on negotiations with Wilder, Lapine added, "There are conversations and negotiations happening with Deontay, but there are no final decisions and nothing signed at this moment. We're moving calmly and professionally. When everything is agreed, it will be announced officially. We are only considering the biggest and most logical options, fights that truly create an event, not just another name. There are several top heavyweights in the conversation, but the shortlist changes depending on the belts, timing, dates, and broadcast structures."
That's what made the Wilder fight a bit of a mystery. Egis Klimas, on behalf of Oleksandr Usyk, said that the fight between them was not backed by Riyadh Season or Ring Magazine, but by some other group based out of the West Coast in the United States, and they would be looking to do the fight here, at which point I thought to myself, well, who here has the money to pay for a fight like that? And what about the broadcast structure? Because if it's not Ring Magazine, and it's not Riyadh, I don't think it's Matchroom, and it's certainly not Golden Boy, that would also have to mean it's not via DAZN.
Then who the fuck would be doing it?
My best guess was Zuffa.
Our position is simple. If it is a fight, it has to be a big one. Usyk also recently opened the door to a potential trilogy with Tyson Fury, but on one condition. Why not? He told Ready to Fight when asked if he would entertain another fight with Fury, but only if it's a fight for the undisputed status again, which would essentially require Tyson Fury to go after the one belt that Usyk doesn't have, the one in possession of Fabio Wardley at this time. For Fury to get another fight with Usyk, he's got to go through Fabio, and I don't mind that idea.
Back over to Deontay Wilder, Agit Kabayel as a contingency.
A plan B. I've seen more than one person on more than one social media platform say the fight they want for Usyk more than any other fight is the Kabayel fight. that Kabayel has emerged as the greatest threat.
They view him as more of a threat to Usyk than Fabio Wortley or a very green Moses Itelma. Agit Kabayel.
That's the guy I see a lot of people say they want to see Usyk fight him more than Wilder. And if Wilder really is spoken for with this Chisora fight, that he might lose.
Roll on Agit.
Agit Kabayel is promoted by Queensberry Promotions. So if a fight between him and Usyk forms, it happens on DAZN. That's where we would watch it.
It sounds like Team Usyk are prepared to go to Germany for that fight on the premise that Agit Kabayel sells well there. And that is how Usyk made a name for himself. Going to other fighters' backyards and beating them there. Michael Hunter in the United States,
Krzysztof Glowacki in Poland, Mairis Briedis in Latvia, Murat Gassiev in Russia, Tony Bellew in the UK, and Anthony Joshua.
Now Agit Kabayel in Germany?
It is in keeping with everything we've seen from Oleksandr Usyk over the years. Conceding home field advantage, supremely confident while he does it, precise, surgical.
So is he not pushing the envelope, taking on somebody like Agit Kabayel at his age, when most people would tell you Usyk doesn't have anything to prove anymore. He can bow out now. He's completed boxing. The only place to go is down.
Why risk it? You've made money, more than enough money to retire on. You can go.
Well, it's very unfortunate that Dana White and all his team have taken this route to try to come in and bully and be so aggressive. There's no need for aggressiveness. They can do their boxing league and they can do whatever they do. I wish them success. They can do good for boxers. But the way they are presenting it is absolutely contrary to the benefit of the boxing general state. As an example, they are using for the first event Callum Walsh. Callum has been the WBC Continental Americas for a couple of years. Ever since he conquered that title, that championship, he has been so proud, displaying his belt in his social media with his friends. I have met with him many times, and his dream is to be the WBC world champion. Just as Dalton Smith did, incredibly showcased that, just as Conor Benn said he only wants the WBC. It is very unfortunate. As I say, there's no need for so much negativity in our sport, but that's their decision. That's the path they want to take. And the history behind the WBC, the WBO, the IBF, the WBA is so rich. This is the way boxing is all about. It's like in American football, the NFL is a major league. There have been so many attempts of minor leagues that are coming in and they say they're going to take over the XFL and I don't know how many others. Those are minor secondary leagues as they're going to be, TKO and Zuffa. They're a minor league. I wish them well. I hope they give work to boxers. But the way they have presented it, it's completely against the benefit of the boxer.
I wouldn't say that. I think it's against the benefit of the sanctioning bodies who siphon money from the boxers.
They don't put money in the boxer's pocket or put money in the sport of boxing. They take money from the fighters to finance their organizations. That's how it works.
According to WBC President Mauricio Suleiman, Zuffa Boxing is tantamount to the AAA League to the majors.
It's the minors.
And I actually would have agreed with him if not for these recent revelations. The Zuffa stable of fighters so far looks exactly like what I expected it to look like. A lot of B and C tier fighters, some gatekeepers, some journeymen, some former champions, one or two up-and-comers.
It's what I thought it would look like. What I didn't expect, and what I don't think anybody expected, was the signing of a reigning champion in Jai Opataya. And not only that,
according to Jai Opataya's promoter Mick Francis, he's confirmed that Zuffa Boxing will allow Jai to fight for sanctioned titles. They will let Jai fight for the titles and unify his division, where initially they said they weren't going to have any of the juniors. They were only going to have the original 8 weight classes. They did sign a cruiserweight in Jai, and where they initially said they weren't going to work with sanctioning bodies. At least when it comes to him, they are.
So where initially I would have agreed with Mauricio Suleiman that TKO is tantamount to the minor leagues.
That all changes when you start signing reigning champions like Jai Opataya, reigning champions like Oleksandr Usyk, because that's the latest.
Oleksandr Usyk and Zuffa Boxing are in talks over a potential promotional contract according to rumors. Sergey Lapine, Usyk's camp manager, confirmed the rumors, if format, numbers, and timing align, the market could see a move nobody expects.
When news first broke not but a day or so ago that they had signed Jai Opataya, my initial reaction was, if they're willing to sign one alphabet champion who holds an alphabet title, who's to say they're not willing to sign another? Perhaps they've gone back on their initial policy.
At least momentarily.
And from the time they initially decided to break into the boxing space till now, they must have realized they have a lot less to compete with than they originally thought, because Top Rank and PBC are both in a weakened state, and Golden Boy could be on the verge of losing their broadcast deal, so whatever relationships they had that may have impeded your progress very soon may not matter.
None of them have any TV money, and the sanctioning bodies fall in line with whoever's got the TV money.
To where Zuffa could theoretically have the WBC, the WBO, the WBA, and the IBF wrapped around their little finger. They've got TV money. They've got Paramount. But not just Paramount. They've got Sella. They've got the UFC, the WWE.
Their only real competition would have to be Matchroom and Queensberry. Formidable adversaries.
But still, a lot less competition than what they originally thought. So maybe Zuffa is doubling back on their initial policy, and they're going to be a little bit more open-minded. I still think it's their mission to bring structure to the sport of boxing so that it can operate like an actual business and not a fire sale.
And so that it can operate like a sport and not a scripted drama. You have to earn your keep.
I still think they're going to keep a cap on the spending, be responsible with their budget. I still think they want to do all those things, but I also think they're being adaptable.
That's what the situation calls for right now. For them to be flexible, be a chameleon, do what you need to do momentarily.
And what they need at the moment is familiarity, because they are a fledgling promotion, a young one, that the boxing fans are not familiar with. So what you can do is recruit fighters that they are familiar with, because familiarity is important in the sport of boxing. Your average boxing fan watching a boxing match, if they don't know who the guys are, they're not invested. They don't care.
There needs to be a sense of continuity between the promotion and the people watching it at home, so it doesn't feel alien.
So you pick up a Jai Opataya, IBF champion. You see about picking up an Oleksandr Usyk, who everybody knows by now. I would say that here at the start of the new year, Zuffa is off to a good start, and they're on the right track.